Hi, it's been a while since I spoke to you, and it's a new year, and some of you have resolutions. I personally does not believe in resolutions because I believe uh, the world or things do not happen because you have just hoped for them to happen, but they also happen because you have also put work in there. So if you just hope and don't put work in there, then you find yourself, to me it's a lie. To me it's a lie. So you have to hope. You have to believe that you can do that thing. And after that you have to put in work. And then when those three merge, then you're going to find yourself in a place where that energy attracts what is expected. So don't you just think that a like pole will attract a non-like pole. Anyway, happy new year to all of you. It's just 22 days into the new year, 23 days into the new year, and I hope you're all having yourself a great time. And this is my first vlog of this year. And today I'm speaking about education, and it's a new year and it's new school, new class. Some others are leaving the university, some others are joining the university, and I hope you all are really struggling in well and making sure that you get that excellence onto the table. But I'm here to sound contrary to what I'm talking about, education. I don't believe in education, especially school. I don't believe in school. Maybe I believe in education. I believe in learning, and those things are different. There's a fine line between one and another, but it does not mean that exactly it is. There's learning and education, and I learned that very well when I handed in my verbal thesis to a group of professors, because I got in there and I told them I'm a doctor, I have a doctorate in what I do and what I believe in. And I had a chance to give them my thesis verbally, and they all accepted, including one very famous professor at the university, Professor Tamsuza, and then another group of German professors. And I remember one of them that said, "What you're talking about is very right, and don't you let education affect your learning." Now, education is the school, the system, the hierarchy, the bureaucracy. Oh God, the stupid bureaucracy. Why should a child going to school be prohibited from growing their hair? How does it affect their learning? Why should a child, up to this day and age, when people still have their fingerprints and thumbprints and biometric data, still be wearing uniform? But because education says they have to dress that way, and we've not left that place. As usual, we're slaves. We black people in particular, we're slaves. Some of you are going to say, but you cannot say that you're a black person. Yes, I'm a black person, but one thing you should also understand, when you wear perfume or fragrance or cologne or anything, you have to first smell its decent smell. If you cannot smell its decent smell, then don't you expect others to find it decent, a fragrance or cologne or whatever. So people like us are the ones that are supposed to first attest that we are slaves in our heads. If we're not slaves, why do we still go to church without questioning? If we're not slaves, why do we dress in suits and say that this is the appropriate way that someone has to be dressed? Why do we still think that when someone dresses sharply, then they're smart? Have you ever asked yourself that? You mean in your bathroom, you're not smart? Has anyone ever asked themselves the question, the difference between smart and intelligent? How did people start finding people who dress a certain way smart and calling them smart? Anyway, that's a lesson for another day. Today I'm here to talk about education. And You're taking your children back to school. Some of you are going back for your third years, second years. Oh God, last year I spoke to a group of orthopedic surgeons and they told me they leave school after 15 years. Now 18 years now. 18 years, oh my God, still in school. I think I don't have that patience. And then I was blown when I had a neurosurgeon takes more. Anyway, everyone has their passion and that's why they go in there and spend all that time. But the thing is, school does not give you learning. School gives you education. School prepares you for the slave market. I'm deliberately calling it the slave market and not the job market. Because if you come in and say that I have a skill, and I'm very proficient at that skill, but I do not have documents, academic documents to back my skill, then you're not regarded a skilled person. And actually Japan recently, I was reading an article, Japan recently got up and said that if you have a bachelor's degree and you're still applying for a job, then you are doing the wrong thing and they're no longer offering, or they're going to stop offering people with bachelor's degrees jobs. If you have a bachelor's degree, you have to be thinking now in order for you to start creating jobs. Jobs are for people straight from high school. So the world is going to thinking, reasoning, deciphering things, disseminating things, while education is still asking people to cram. And after those people have crammed and have been examined, and how good is their cramming, not understanding. Because even in our society, whenever a teacher is asked certain questions, instead they get offended. Instead of them being proud that their student is learning and is asking fundamental questions, they instead get offended. They call them difficult students. That's the reason why some people like us dropped out of school. That's the reason why you find that you never find professors having invented things. All they do is research and research and research and research. Inventions. If you're watching this on any social media network, we should hail guys like Zuckerberg. Yes, there's also another downside to it, but we should hail people like Zuckerberg. If you're watching this on your iPhone, we should hail people like the late Steve Jobs. People like the Commodore, Cornelius Vanderbilt. These are men that were never in school. John D. Rockefeller. Today we're talking about oil pipelines moving from one place to another. John D. Rockefeller never went to school. He was just a self-taught businessman. Look at people like Benjamin, the founding father of America. This man just stopped in the equivalent of, was that second grade? Was that second grade? The second class of education, maybe after kindergarten. I've forgotten the American remuneration of classes. Americans, you know what I'm talking about. You got up and called Idi Amin an illiterate man, but your nation is founded on an illiterate man's brain. Actually, Idi Amin went to class 3, P3, which is primary 3. So he was more educated than Benjamin Franklin Benjamin. Yeah. So, guys, watch the education you're taking your child to. Watch what your children are learning. You people who are going back to the university, Watch what you're learning. Many people are saying we're going to learn, we're going to study, I'm back in school, I'm getting my bachelor's, I'm getting my master's and everything. What value are you adding to the world? Rather than adding yourself to the big caravan of slavery. Because to me, the job market is slavery. You're asked to report at a certain time. You have a slave master who's your boss or your supervisor. You leave at a specific time. You're not allowed to think. You're supposed to follow protocol and policy. If your education does not fall into the yoke of the master, then you're not a good enough slave. And such slaves ended up not being loaded onto the slave ships, or they ended up onto the Atlantic seabed. Education and learning make the difference. Thank you very much. Happy 2024.